A little girl sat alone in her wheelchair backstage, her graduation gown a splash of crimson against the dusty shadows. Tears tracked silently down her cheeks as she clutched the wheels of her chair, her knuckles showing white with the strain. When she lifted her gaze to the stranger who discovered her and asked him to be her father for a single day, neither of them could imagine the chain of events that would follow. This is the story of how a grieving electrician and a forgotten child remade each other's worlds, a journey that began with 6 whispered desperate words. "Please, will you be my dad?" The sound was so faint, Marcus Cole almost didn't hear it over the whine of his cordless drill. He was perched on a ladder, a bead of sweat tracing a path down his temple despite the early hour. The soft whimpering, however, sliced through the noise and made him pause. It was coming from behind the stage curtain, a child trying to cry without being discovered. He descended the ladder, pushed aside the heavy velvet drape, and froze. There, in a corner, sat a small girl in a wheelchair, her frame trembling with suppressed sobs. She couldn't have been more than 8 or 9, with a cascade of blonde curls that had been artfully arranged. Every detail of her appearance suggested someone had put in a great deal of effort to make this a milestone day, yet she was profoundly, heartbreakingly alone. "Hey there," Marcus said, his voice a low, gentle rumble meant to soothe, not startle. The girl's head shot up, and the sight of her eyes made Marcus's chest ache. They held a sorrow far too vast for such a young face, a deep, weary sadness that spoke of more pain than most adults ever know. "I'm sorry," she whispered, hastily swiping at her wet cheeks. "I'm not supposed to be here. I needed a quiet place." "No, don't you worry. It's all right," Marcus replied, lowering himself to one knee to meet her gaze. His joints complained about the concrete floor, but he paid them no mind. "Are you okay? Can I find someone for you? Your parents?" At the mention of parents, her face seemed to collapse, and a fresh wave of tears spilled over. "There's nobody to get," she said, her voice fracturing. "I don't have any. My grandma Eleanor raised me, but she passed away 2 months ago. Now I live with Mrs. Davies at the group home. She brought me here, but she couldn't stay. She has 7 other kids to look after." Marcus's eyes fell to the graduation program she was clutching in her lap. Her name, Lily Grant, was written in elegant script at the top. Just below it, a phrase circled in bright pink ink explained everything. Father-daughter dance to follow the ceremony. "I'm Marcus," he offered softly, a lump forming in his throat. "Is that what has you so upset?" "The dance." Lily nodded, her small hands twisting the program into a wrinkled mess. "Everyone in my class has someone. Even Kevin, whose dad is deployed in Germany. He recorded a video message they're going to play. Even Maya, whose parents are divorced. Both her dad and her stepdad are here for her. But I don't have anyone. I'm going to be the only one left in my seat while everyone else is dancing." She looked down at her wheelchair, her fingers tracing the spokes of a wheel. "I've been in this chair since I was 4. A drunk driver ran a red light. My parents, they didn't survive. Grandma Eleanor was all I had left, and now she's gone too." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. His mind instantly flew to his own daughter, Zoe, safe at his mother's house, getting ready for her day. He understood loss. His wife, Simone, had been taken by a sudden illness when Zoe was just a toddler, but Zoe still had him. This little girl had no one. "Lily, please." The word erupted from her, a raw and desperate plea. She reached out and grabbed his large hand with both of hers, her grip astonishingly firm. "Please, could you be my dad? Just for today." Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. The cavernous auditorium suddenly seemed unnervingly silent, as if the world had paused to witness this moment. "I know you're a stranger," Lily continued in a rush, the tears flowing without restraint now. "I know it's a crazy thing to ask, but I've been praying for weeks that someone, anyone, would be here for me. You seem kind. You have nice eyes like my dad did in the pictures." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I can sit by myself for the ceremony. I don't mind. But just for the dance, could you pretend? I don't want to be the only one without a partner. I am so tired of being the girl everyone feels sorry for. For just one day, I want to be like all the other kids. Please, sir, I'm begging you." Marcus's vision swam. This wasn't about a dance. This was about a child who had lost her entire world and was now facing another stark public reminder of her solitude. A part of him wanted to retreat, to explain that he was just the electrician, that he couldn't possibly get involved. But as he looked into those pleading brown eyes, he knew he couldn't walk away. "Lily," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "you don't have to beg. It would be my honor to stand with you today." Her eyes widened as if she couldn't comprehend his words. "Really? You mean it?" "Really," he affirmed, "and not just for the dance. For the whole thing. The ceremony, the pictures, whatever you need." "But why?" she asked, bewildered. "You don't even know me." Marcus searched for the right words to explain the unexplainable, how life sometimes places you in the exact spot you're meant to be. He thought about how he'd been angry that morning, forced to work a Saturday shift to cover for a coworker who'd called in sick again. He'd almost sent his apprentice instead. "Sometimes," he said, "people show up in our lives right when we need them to. Maybe I was supposed to be here fixing these lights in Atlanta today, just so I could meet you." Lily stared at him, her expression a mix of shock and dawning hope. Then she let out a sob, but this one sounded different. She propelled her chair forward and threw her arms around his neck. Marcus held her gently, feeling the tremors of relief that shook her small body. "Thank you," she wept into the fabric of his work shirt. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." "Hey, it's okay," Marcus soothed, patting her back a bit awkwardly. He wasn't accustomed to comforting children other than Zoe. "Tell me about yourself. What grade are you graduating from?" Lily pulled back, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue from a pocket in her dress. "Third grade. I'm supposed to go to fourth grade at the middle school next year, but Mrs. Davies says we might have to move to another group home, so I'm not sure where I'll end up." "Do you like school?" For the first time, a genuine light ignited in her eyes. "I love it, especially science. We did a unit on the nervous system, and I got to explain spinal cord injuries to the class because, well," she gestured toward her chair, "I have some personal experience." Marcus couldn't help but smile. "That's a pretty brave thing to do. Grandma Eleanor always told me to use what happened to me to educate people. She said that's how you turn something bad into something good. She was supposed to be here today. She even bought a new dress for it. It's still hanging in the closet of our old apartment." The next hour flew by. As Marcus finished his work on the stage lighting, Lily shared stories about her life. She was incredibly bright, with a quick wit that reminded him so much of Zoe. She spoke of her best friend who was moving away after graduation and her dream of becoming a pediatric neurologist. "Mrs. Davies says I should be realistic about my limitations," Lily said, a frown creasing her brow. "She says college is very expensive, and maybe I should aim for something more practical." "Your grandma was the one who was right, not Mrs. Davies," Marcus said with conviction, giving a final twist to a spotlight fixture. "Don't ever let anyone tell you what you can't achieve." "That's what Grandma Eleanor used to say. She was saving for my college. She had this big glass jar in the kitchen she called Lily's Dream Fund. I don't know what happened to it after she died." Families began to filter into the Grant Park Elementary auditorium, their excited chatter filling the air. Marcus saw fathers adjusting cameras, grandmothers clutching bouquets, and younger siblings looking restless in their nice clothes. The vibrant energy stood in stark contrast to Lily's quiet solitude. "I should probably go find my spot," she said, her voice shrinking again as she watched the other students line up in the hallway. "Hey," Marcus said, kneeling beside her once more. "Remember, I'll be right over there." He pointed to a spot along the side wall. "When you get up on that stage, you look for me. You hear? I'll be the tall guy in the work shirt giving you a big thumbs up." She offered him a small, fragile smile that transformed her entire face. "You promise you won't leave?" "I promise." As Lily wheeled herself toward the bustling hallway, Marcus took out his phone and dialed his mother. "Mom, it's me. I need a huge favor. Can you bring Zoe down to Grant Park Elementary?" "Yes, I know I was supposed to pick her up at noon, but this is really important. Mom, please, just trust me on this. I'll explain everything when you get here." He hung up and found his designated spot against the wall, a place with a clear view of the stage. The auditorium was nearly packed now. Hundreds of people settled into their seats. He watched the third graders march in, a sea of 25 children in matching red caps and gowns. Lily was positioned in the middle of the line, the only child in a wheelchair. Her head swiveled anxiously as she scanned the crowd, and when her eyes finally met his, a visible wave of relief washed over her. He gave her the promised thumbs up, and she beamed back at him. The ceremony started with the principal delivering a speech about growth and new horizons. Marcus barely registered the words. His attention was fixed on Lily, noticing how she repeatedly glanced his way, as if to confirm he was still there. Other children were waving to their families, pulling faces at their siblings, just being kids. Lily sat perfectly still, her hands folded primly in her lap. And now, the principal announced, "We will present the promotion certificates. As I call your name, please come forward with your parent or guardian." Marcus felt his heart begin to pound. He had promised to stand with her, but marching up there in front of all these people, he glanced down at his dusty jeans, his t-shirt emblazoned with Cole Electrical, and his steel-toed boots. The other fathers were dressed in suits, or at the very least, pressed slacks. "Rebecca Adams," the principal called out. A girl with pigtails skipped to the stage, her father walking proudly beside her. "Timothy Brennan," a red-headed boy, high-fived his dad on their way up. The names progressed slowly through the alphabet. Marcus's mouth felt like cotton as they neared the G's. "Lily Grant," the principal announced, then paused, a flicker of confusion on his face as he consulted his list. Lily began to wheel herself forward, alone. Marcus didn't hesitate. He simply moved. Stepping away from the wall, he spoke with a clear, steady voice that carried through the auditorium. "Lily will be accompanied by Marcus Cole." A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. Marcus heard the whispers. "Who is that? Is that her father? I've never seen him before." He ignored them all, his focus entirely on Lily. The look on her face, a mixture of pure, unadulterated joy and stunned disbelief, made every curious glance worthwhile. He walked beside her wheelchair, his hand resting lightly on the back, not to push, but simply to be present. The principal recovered quickly, handing Lily her certificate. "Congratulations, Lily, recipient of the 3rd grade award for academic excellence." "Academic excellence," Marcus whispered as they turned to face the cameras. "You forgot to mention that part." "You didn't ask," Lily whispered back, a wide grin spreading across her face. The photographer snapped the picture, and Marcus knew that image, a tall black man in his work clothes standing proudly next to a little blonde girl in a wheelchair, both of them smiling as if they had just won the lottery, would become one of her most treasured possessions. They returned to Lily's place in the line, but this time Marcus didn't retreat to the wall. He stood beside her just as all the other parents were doing. A woman in the row ahead turned to them. "I'm Maya's mom, Jennifer," she said in a quiet voice. "I've been wondering who would be here for Lily. Eleanor used to talk about her constantly at the senior center. She would be so grateful that you're here." Marcus's throat constricted. "You knew her grandmother?" "Oh, everyone did. A wonderful woman. Raised that sweet girl all on her own after the accident. Never once complained, even when her own health was failing. Lily was her entire world." The ceremony wound down, but Marcus noticed a shift in the atmosphere around them. Other parents were seeing Lily's radiant happiness, his steadfast presence beside her. A man gave him a respectful nod. An elderly woman offered a tearful smile. They didn't know the story, but they recognized that something profound was happening. Finally, the principal announced the part of the program Lily had been dreading. "And now, we invite all our graduates and their fathers or father figures to the floor for our traditional father-daughter dance." The room buzzed with movement as fathers stood, straightened their ties, and extended their hands to their daughters. Some girls ran eagerly to their dads, while others feigned embarrassment, but were secretly thrilled. Lily sat frozen, her gaze fixed on her lap. "Hey," Marcus said gently. "Lily." She looked up, fresh tears welling in her eyes. "I can't really dance." "The chair." "Of course you can." Marcus moved to stand in front of her and executed a deep theatrical bow. "Miss Lily Grant, would you do me the honor of this dance?" A small surprised giggle escaped her. "You're silly. That's what my daughter Zoe tells me all the time." "So, is that a yes?" Lily nodded, her hands trembling slightly as she placed them in his. The music began, a soft, sentimental ballad about fathers and daughters, about time flying by too fast, about a love that endures. Marcus knelt beside her chair, taking one of her hands in his while placing his other on the wheel. "Ready?" he asked. "I don't know what to do. Just hold on and trust me." He started to move her chair in slow, graceful circles, then transitioned into a gentle figure-8 pattern. Lily gasped, then let out a laugh, a pure, joyous sound that caused heads to turn all over the auditorium. He spun her slowly, then dipped the chair back just enough to make her squeal with delight. Other couples instinctively moved aside, clearing a space for them in the center of the floor. "You're flying, Lily!" one of her classmates shouted, and in that moment, she was. Her face was luminous, all traces of her earlier sorrow completely erased. Marcus found himself laughing along with her, swept up in her happiness. He used to dance with Zoe like this when she was small, back before Simone was gone, back when their family felt complete. He had forgotten what it felt like to bring a child this much pure joy. Halfway through the song, Marcus became aware of the crowd. Many parents had stopped dancing altogether to watch them. He saw the glint of phone screens recording the moment. More than that, he saw tears. Grown men were discreetly wiping their eyes. Mothers held their hands over their hearts. In that instant, Marcus made a decision that would irrevocably alter both of their lives. He brought the chair to a stop and knelt directly in front of Lily, taking both of her hands in his. The music played on, but his voice was clear and strong enough for those nearby to hear. "Lily, you asked me to be your dad for today, but I want you to know something. Being a dad isn't about one dance or one day." Lily's eyes grew wide. The couples closest to them had stopped moving entirely, their attention captivated. You deserve someone who shows up for you every single day, not just the special ones. Someone who helps you with your homework, who takes you to doctor's appointments, who cheers for you at every single graduation, not just this one. "What? What are you saying?" Lily's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm saying that if you were brave enough to ask a stranger to be your dad for a day, then I'm brave enough to ask if I can be your dad for real, for all the days to come, if you'll have me." The music faded out. A hush fell over the entire auditorium. 300 people seemed to hold their breath at once. "You mean you'd want to adopt me?" Lily's voice cracked. "But I'm broken. I can't walk. I need so much help with everything." Marcus reached up and gently tilted her chin, his own eyes burning with tears he no longer tried to hide. "You are not broken, Lily. You are one of the strongest, bravest people I have ever met. My daughter Zoe. She lost her mom when she was very little. I think she could really use a sister, especially a sister who understands that sometimes life is hard, but we find a way to keep going anyway." "A sister?" Lily was sobbing now. "You have a daughter? Would she even want me? Why don't you ask her yourself?" Marcus turned his head. Standing at the edge of the dance floor was his mother, and beside her was Zoe, who must have arrived during the dance. His mom was crying openly, a hand covering her mouth. But Zoe, his 10-year-old daughter with a wisdom far beyond her years, was already walking toward them. "Hi," Zoe said simply, her eyes on Lily. "I'm Zoe. My dad just texted my grandma that he thought he found my sister. Is that you?" Lily looked from Marcus to Zoe, completely overwhelmed. I don't know. I guess so." Zoe studied her for a second, then broke into a grin. "Do you like Marvel movies?" "I love them," Lily whispered. "Do you think pineapple goes on pizza?" "Never," Lily said, looking horrified at the thought. "Good," Zoe declared. "I want to be a veterinarian when I grow up." "What about you?" "A doctor." "That's cool. We can study science together." The crowd was no longer attempting to be discreet. People were weeping, smiling, and pulling out their phones to capture the unbelievable scene. Marcus stood up, his voice now addressing not just Lily, but everyone present. 6 hours ago, I came to this school to fix some faulty wiring. I was grumpy about working on a Saturday, about missing time with my daughter, but I believe life puts you exactly where you're meant to be." He turned to the principal, who was standing frozen on the stage, a box of tissues in his hand. "Sir, is there any way we can contact a Mrs. Davies from the group home? I'd like to start the process of making this arrangement permanent today." The auditorium erupted. It wasn't polite clapping. It was a wave of cheering and sobbing, of strangers turning to hug one another. Someone started a chant of "Lily, Lily," and soon the whole room joined in. Parents who had never met her were taking her picture, wanting a memento of the moment they witnessed pure love triumph over loss. If you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed with emotion, you are not alone. Share this story with someone who needs a reminder that family can be found in the most unexpected places. Mrs. Davies arrived within 30 minutes, looking stressed and bewildered. She was a weary-looking woman in her 50s, clearly stretched thin by her immense responsibilities. "Mr. Cole," she said, navigating through the cluster of people that had formed around them. The school called and said there was an urgent situation involving Lily. "There is," Marcus confirmed. "I want to adopt her." Mrs. Davies stared at him, blinking. "I'm sorry. What?" "Sir, you can't just decide to adopt a child. There are procedures, background checks, home studies." "Then let's start them," Marcus said, his tone firm but respectful. "Right now, today, whatever it takes. Mr. Cole, this is highly unorthodox. You don't know the first thing about her medical history, her therapeutic needs, She has physical therapy twice a week and occupational therapy on Fridays. She takes medication for nerve pain. She needs assistance with transfers and bathing. She requires ramps, not stairs, and her wheelchair needs quarterly maintenance." Mrs. Davis's jaw dropped slightly. "How do you know all that?" "Because I asked her," Marcus said simply, "because that's what you do when you care about someone. You take the time to learn what they need." "But you're a single father," Mrs. Davies protested, grasping for reasons. "The state generally prefers two-parent homes for children with special needs. The state prefers children have homes, period." A sharp voice cut in from the crowd. A woman stepped forward. It was Jennifer, Maya's mother. "I'm a family law attorney. Mr. Cole, I would be honored to offer my services pro bono. What you are doing here is a miracle, and it should be supported, not obstructed by bureaucracy." Another voice joined the chorus. "I'm Dr. Evans, a pediatric neurologist at Eagleston. Lily has been my patient since the accident. I will provide any and all medical documentation required and will gladly continue to oversee her care." More people stepped forward. "I own a construction company. We'll handle any home modifications you need, free of charge." "I'm a social worker. I can help you expedite the paperwork for the home study." "We live down the street from you, Marcus. We'll be character references." An entire community was materializing around them, strangers becoming a network of support in a matter of minutes. Mrs. Davies looked utterly overwhelmed, but a new, softer expression was dawning on her face. "Lily," she said quietly, her voice gentle, "is this what you want?" Lily hadn't released Marcus's hand since their dance. She squeezed it tighter now. "More than anything in the world," she said, her voice clear and certain. "Please, Mrs. Davies. I know it's happening fast, but sometimes you just know when something is right. Grandma Eleanor always said that's how she knew she was meant to raise me. She just knew." Mrs. Davies let out a long, deep sigh. "There will still be requirements. Home visits, interviews, court dates. This process normally takes months, even years." "Then we'll do it by the book," Marcus said. "But in the meantime, I'd like to start visiting her every day, if that's permissible. She and Zoe need time to get to know each other as sisters." That can be arranged," Mrs. Davies conceded, glancing around at the sea of supportive faces. "I will have to file for emergency temporary placement." "I'll help with that," Jennifer, the lawyer, interjected. "We can file for an expedited review, citing the child's clearly expressed wishes and this overwhelming show of community support." Within an hour, a petition supporting the adoption had been signed by half the people in the auditorium. Someone had uploaded a video of the dance and Marcus's proposal, and it was already spreading like wildfire online under the caption, "You have to. See what happened at this Atlanta graduation." News vans were beginning to pull up outside, but Marcus ignored the commotion. He sat on the edge of the stage with Lily and Zoe, the three of them in their own quiet bubble, as a storm of goodwill swirled around them. "Are you scared?" Lily asked Zoe. "A little," Zoe admitted honestly. "I've never had a sister before." "Are you?" "Terrified," Lily confessed. "What if I'm not a good sister? What if your dad changes his mind?" "He won't," Zoe said with absolute confidence. "After my mom died, people were always telling him he should start dating again, find me a new mom. But he always said our family was already whole, just a different shape than before. I think he was wrong, though. We weren't whole. We were just waiting for you." The adoption took 4 months to finalize, a period that felt simultaneously like an eternity and the blink of an eye. Marcus and Zoe were at the group home every single day. They had dinner together in the loud, chaotic dining hall, did homework at a table covered in decades of scratches, and played board games in the small, crowded common room. The other children in the home watched the formation of Lily's new family with a complex mix of happiness for her and a deep, aching jealousy. "You're so lucky." A boy named Thomas told her one evening, "Nobody ever wants the broken kids." "I'm not broken," Lily said, the words coming more easily to her now. "And neither are you. Sometimes it just takes the right family a little longer to find us." Marcus, who overheard this from the hallway, had to pause and compose himself before he could walk into the room. The home study was a success. Marcus's house was already partially accessible from when Simone's mother had stayed with them during her final illness. The community donations covered the rest: a sturdy ramp leading to the front door, grab bars in the bathroom, and a specialized bed that would allow Lily more independence. Zoe took full charge of decorating Lily's new room, consulting her on every decision via video calls and photos. "Purple or blue walls?" Zoe would ask during their visits. "Desk by the window or the door?" "Window, so I can see the garden." "Do you want the Captain America poster or the periodic table?" "Both," Lily decided. "Can I have both?" "You can have everything," Zoe replied. The court hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday in October. The judge, a formidable woman named Judge Keyes, scrutinized the file for what felt like an agonizingly long time while Marcus, Zoe, and Lily sat at the petitioner's table. "This is highly irregular, Mr. Cole," Judge Keyes stated, peering over her glasses. "You met this child a mere 4 months ago." "Yes, Your Honor. You have no prior connection to her or her biological family." "That is correct. And you are a single parent, working a demanding full-time job." "I am, Your Honor. Tell me, Mr. Cole, why should I approve this adoption?" Marcus rose to his feet. "Your Honor, 4 months ago, I was just a man fixing lights. Lily was just a scared little girl who desperately needed someone to show up for her. But in that moment, we both discovered something we didn't even know we were missing," he continued, his voice resonating with conviction. "I could talk about the logistics, how I've adjusted my work schedule, how my mother provides support, how deeply Zoe and Lily have bonded. But the heart of the matter is this. For 4 years, Lily has believed she was fundamentally alone. She has been told to temper her dreams, to be realistic about her future. In just 4 months with my family, she has joined the school science club, started adaptive swimming, and wrote an essay about her ambition to become a doctor that won a district-wide competition. She is no longer just surviving, Your Honor. She is thriving. And my daughter Zoe, who lost her mother too young, finally has someone who truly understands that loss isn't something you get over. It's something you learn to carry as you move forward, keeping the people you love in your heart." "Lily," Judge Keyes said, her gaze softening as she turned to the girl, "is there anything you would like to say?" Lily wheeled herself a few inches forward. "Your Honor, I used to pray every night for my parents to come back. After they were gone, I prayed for my grandma Eleanor to get better. When she passed away, I stopped praying. I figured no one was listening." She glanced back at Marcus and Zoe, a small smile touching her lips. "But then Dad showed up, and I realized that sometimes prayers are answered in ways you never expect. He didn't just dance with me at graduation. He chose me. Every single day for the last 4 months, he and Zoe have chosen me. And isn't that what family is? Choosing each other over and over again." Judge Keyes was silent for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke. "I have been on this bench for 20 years. I have seen adoptions that looked perfect on paper fall apart, and I have seen the most unlikely pairings blossom into the most beautiful families. Mr. Cole, I have one final question for you." "Yes, Your Honor." "What will you tell Lily when things get hard, when the medical bills are high, when she faces another surgery, when she struggles with things other children take for granted?" Marcus didn't miss a beat. "I'll tell her the same thing I tell Zoe. That being a family means we face the hard things together, that love isn't about life being easy. It's about holding on tight when it gets difficult." Judge Keyes picked up her pen and signed the document with a flourish. "Adoption granted. Lily Grant is now legally Lily Grant Cole. Congratulations to your family." The courtroom erupted. The same community that had witnessed their beginning had come to see it through. Dr. Evans was there, as was Jennifer the lawyer. Several families from Grant Park Elementary were present, and even Mrs. Davies was in the back, crying more than anyone. But the most beautiful moment was when Zoe pulled a handmade sign from her backpack. In bright, glittery letters, it read, "Finally, my sister is official." 1 year later, Lily sat in that same elementary school auditorium, this time for Zoe's 5th grade graduation. She was in the front row, camera at the ready, wearing a t-shirt that said, "Proud Little Sister." Marcus sat beside her, his own mother on his other side. When Zoe's name was called, Lily's cheers were the loudest in the room. After the ceremony, a woman approached them, her expression hesitant. "Excuse me," she said, "are you the family from that viral video?" The graduation adoption. Marcus nodded, accustomed to the recognition by now. The video had garnered over 50 million views, leading to a flood of news stories and talk show invitations, all of which they politely declined, and thousands of messages from all over the globe. "I just wanted to say thank you," the woman said, her eyes glistening. "My husband and I saw your story. We had been considering adoption for years, but were always too afraid. 6 months ago, we adopted 2 brothers from foster care. Your story gave us the courage to say yes." This happened frequently. They received emails from people who had been inspired to adopt older children, children with disabilities, children who had been waiting for years. Their story had unintentionally sparked a small movement. #Choose Family became a popular hashtag for adoptive families to share their own journeys. 5 years have passed since that fateful June morning. Lily is now 13, a top student in the 8th grade, and has been accepted into a competitive STEM program at a magnet high school. An essay she wrote about pursuing a career in medicine won a national award. She still uses a wheelchair and faces daily challenges, but she faces them with Marcus and Zoe at her side. Zoe, now 15, is Lily's most passionate advocate and biggest fan. They share a bathroom, argue over clothes that Lily can't physically wear but likes to keep in her closet anyway, and stay up far too late at night sharing secrets and dreams. They have a tradition. Every June, on the anniversary of the day they met, they return to the empty auditorium at Grant Park Elementary, just the 3 of them. Marcus spins Lily's chair, while Zoe provides a running commentary and plays music from her phone. "Remember when you were just some random electrician?" Lily teased on their last visit. "Remember when you were just some kid crying backstage?" Marcus retorted. "Remember when I didn't have a sister to steal my hoodies?" Zoe added. They all laugh, but they all remember. They remember the exact moment their lives changed forever. Recently, Lily was invited to be the keynote speaker at a foster care fundraiser. She told the crowded room, "I used to think I was the unluckiest person in the world. I lost my parents. I lost my grandma. I lost the use of my legs. But now I understand that luck isn't about what happens to you. It's about who shows up for you when you need them most." A lot of people showed up for me that day, an entire community of strangers who became my family. But it all started with one man who could have kept walking. He was just there to fix the lights. He had his own life, his own daughter, his own grief to carry. He didn't owe me a thing, but he stayed. He said yes to a crazy request from a little girl, and that single yes changed my entire world. People sometimes say to my dad, "You saved her," but they have it wrong. We saved each other. He gave me a family, and my sister and I gave him a purpose, a sense of completion he didn't realize he was missing. So, if you're out there wondering if you should take that leap, if you should say yes to something that seems impossible, just remember that the best families, the strongest kinds of love, are often born in the most unexpected moments. Marcus still works as an electrician, though he's turned down promotions that would require more travel. "My girls need me here," he says simply. His mother has seamlessly stepped into the role of the grandmother Lily lost, teaching both girls how to cook her famous gumbo and never missing a single school event. The house is now fully modified, and its walls are a gallery of their life together. Photos from adoption day, first days of school, and family vacations where they learn to navigate new cities with a wheelchair. There's one photo Marcus cherishes above all others. It was taken by someone in the crowd on that first day. He's spinning Lily in her chair, both of them lost in laughter. In the background, Zoe is walking toward them, her face a mask of determination. Below it, in Lily's elegant script, is the caption, "The moment we became a family." Sometimes Marcus wakes in the early morning quiet and checks on his daughters. Zoe sprawled across her bed, one foot dangling off the edge. Lily positioned carefully among her support pillows, a book about human anatomy fallen on her chest where she drifted off reading. He thinks about Simone, and he likes to believe she would have adored Lily and been immensely proud of the young woman Zoe has become. He thinks about that Saturday morning 6 years ago, how he almost called in sick, how he complained about the traffic on the drive over, how he nearly sent his apprentice to investigate the sound of crying. Life has a funny way of putting you right where you need to be. "Dad," Lily called out from her room one evening, "can you help me with my PT exercises?" "Be right there," he called back, the familiar rhythm of their evening routine. "Dad," Zoe yelled from her room, "can you quiz me for my history final?" "After I help your sister," he replied. "Can we get pizza for dinner?" They both shouted at the same time, then burst into giggles at their accidental unison. "Do you two rehearse that?" Marcus asked, appearing in the hallway with a smile. "Sister telepathy," they said in perfect sync, and laughed even harder. This is their life now, not the one Marcus had planned, or the one Lily had dreamed of, or the one Zoe had imagined, but it is their life. Messy, complicated, and beautiful. A life built from the pieces of what was lost, where a maintenance man became a father, a girl who lost her mother gained a sister, and a child who felt broken learned she was whole. It all started because a little girl was brave enough to ask, and a good man was brave enough to say yes. But it was what they did together, every day after, that truly mattered. Choosing family, choosing love, choosing each other. That is the choice that saves us all.